time to review the assembly square. I know that we already looked into details of the assembly square in the couple of previous build videos. But there were still details that I didn't cover in those videos. So, let's take a closer look of the assembly square with the help of new gadget that I got from IKEA. And that new gadget is this cheap turntable. This might be handy when we are looking at the details of the Lego sets. And here you can see the assembly square. As it is 1.5 base plates wide, it is bigger than a normal Lego Modular building. The screen part is further back in its base plate, so there is a nice down square in the center. The buildings on the left are not connected to the ones on the right, so there is a gap between the buildings. My favorite detail is this tower on the right-hand side of the set. Those small bricks are actually triangles, but they still somehow manage to create a rounded tower. There are different shops in this building, and they all have distinctive signs. In this corner, we have a bakery that has nice big windows made from garage door pieces placed vertically. In the middle, we have a flower shop, and that brick-built 3D sign is just gorgeous. And the one on the left here is a cafe. Then let's take a peek on the sides and the back side of the set. This side is quite clean. There are only a couple of parts that are not of matching color. In the first floor, there is a brown shelf that has been built into the wall, and it shows on the outside. Of course, these details will be covered by the building next to it, but I think it would work even without one. Different depths of the buildings work nicely on the backside too, and these stairs add a whole lot of detail there. And of course, those stairs are also needed to reach the higher floors. There is this interesting axle piece here in the lower left corner, and we will see what that does in the future. There's a rooftop terrace here in the highest floor, and that has an outdoor kitchen in it. As I mentioned before, these buildings have this small gap between them, only connected by this small trellis. And there is an access under it from the front side of the building to the back side. Some interior details are showing through in the second floor in the form of that white rectangle. And the last side is also quite clean, with only minor details showing through from the inside. Then on to first floor interior details. Let's start from the bakery. There is an oven under that upper door. There's also an access to the flower shop and some cookies and cupcakes in the window. On the other window, we have this giant wedding cake. It really uses only simple pieces, but the effect is very good looking. And on this side, we have the shelf that is built into the wall. It has more baked goodies in it. Remember that axle on the backside of the building? It can be used to push a tray of cookies out of the oven. It is really difficult to get your finger in the oven, so it is nice that they added this feature in. For the longest of times, I didn't realize that this section of the flower shop wall was meant to be removable. The room is quite small in area, but it has tall walls, so this helps you to fit your hand inside there. There is quite a lot of different flower details inside there, and that makes sense for a flower shop. The floor tiling is also quite nice, even if it uses only 2 different tiles. Then it is time to exit from the bakery from this higher door and move on to the second floor. Inside there, is a dentist's office with quite an elaborate chair. Behind that there is a sink and room for some equipment. And at the front we have a reception desk and some seats for those that are waiting for their turn. On the left there is also a door to a whole nother room, and in it we have a photo studio. It only has a couple of details, this old camera and that white photo background. Apart from that, there is very little in other details. Windows create some, and there is a shelf and a photo on this side of the room. And that's pretty much all that there is in the second floor in this part of the building. Here you can see that the photo background actually shows on the outside, as that is built into the wall. Then it is time to exit the dentist's office from this door and climb these stairs to the third floor. Here we have already taken a look of this outdoor kitchen, but there is something else behind this door. And these are my favorite interior details in the set. We have an apartment where a Lego hobbyist lives. There is this massive train layout in the center, some assembled vehicles there on the shelf, and an open set on the floor. There is also an Eiffel Tower there in the corner. With this much Lego, you need to optimize the space with sofa bed. And even on top of it, there are some Lego buildings. And as we rotate this room, we get a glimpse of this small kitchenette. So really, you have everything that you need to live here, even if the Lego sets take quite a lot of room. There is even a small toilet in that corner. It is a really small room, so you can see it better through the door. And of course there needs to be a roof on top of this building. The most noticeable feature is this dark blue tower roof. But there are also some interesting architectural features built from white parts. Then back to the first floor and onto the cafe. It has some seating outside the building. And indoors we can see a coffee machine and a counter for the barista. And some seats for the customers. There's also a door to the backside of the building and another door that you can use to access these stairs to the second floor. Second and third floors are quite similar. Let's first peek inside the second floor that has a music shop in it. There's a counter with a cash register in the middle, a couple of guitars mounted on the wall, a drum set, and a saxophone. And that's about it. The rest of the room is taken by the stairs to the third floor. Third floor is a ballet studio. It only has a piano in it and this mirror on the wall. Lack of details makes sense. You wouldn't want your ballet studio to be filled with furniture. Nothing much to see on the roof. We have an access hatch that the stairs lead into, and we also have a skylight. And that was the entire set covered. This is definitely one of my favorite Lego modular buildings. As this set contains various smaller buildings, it is quite varied in appearance. The placement of those smaller buildings on the base plate is also very interesting, and that also creates more variety for this set. This even looks good on its own, and if I would only have one Lego building in my entire collection, this would be it. I can also think of a couple of negative things. As this contains several smaller buildings, it means that the individual buildings are quite small, and therefore quite limited in the details that you can fit in there. Also, if you're planning a street grid in your Lego city, this larger building might be quite difficult to place, but I won't have that problem. As I already have a perfect spot for this set reserved, it will go on this side of my layout. The book and DVD box are just placeholders. And it is a perfect fit here. And I even like how this looks next to the Jazz Cafe, even though the Jazz Cafe is an assembly square outbuild. But somehow they look very different when compared to each other. No changes to the rest of the layout. On this side, everything looks as it did before. Now every part of the shelf is covered with Lego buildings. Well, almost. There is this small gap here between the buildings. I think that we need to add something here. Something needs to be visible through this gap to create a hint of a layered Lego town. One thing that could fit in there is this greenhouse mock that human helpers built out of the extra parts of the original town hall build. It isn't that good looking, but then again, you wouldn't see much of it. But even the little bit that you can see helps to create the illusion that the town keeps going on even behind these buildings. And I think that was a good use for the greenhouse mock. I never intended that to be placed in the final layout, as it really isn't that good looking. There were all sorts of part constraints when that was being built. But now it's sort of a hidden, sort of visible. I think it's okay. Now I have acquired all the buildings that I need for my layout. There are still more work that needs to be done on the town square, and some interior details of the town hall need to be finished. But that is something for the future. Right now, I have something else on my mind. And that means that the next video will not be about the Lego town. You will get another surprise video. You can expect that next video ASAP, but remember, when a Sloth says that, it means as slowly as possible. Bye bye!